we all know what happened in the playoffs last year, Dodgers Padres, and it was heated. Things got interesting with the fans at Dodger Stadium and the Padre players. The energy was electric, I think, throughout that playoff series. It unfortunately did not go the right way for the Padres. But nevertheless, you can see that these two teams don't really like each other very much.
And it's amplified by the media, or it was amplified by the media, because the Padres were always looked at the younger brother or
of course
some family member, like they are attached to a hip.
ESPN's finest, Jeff Passan,
Oh.
He even tweeted last year something like, if you're tired of being called little brother, then stop acting like a little brother or start winning or something like that. Do we really need the establishment media taunting us?
They've been doing this for a long time.
I mean, I get the optics, all right, but I like to remind everybody of where the 1984 Chicago Bulls were. They were a horrible organization. Go watch Save the Last Dance. Go hear the stories about what their team was doing even on the road. Good grief. And then out of all that was born a dynasty. It took 7 years. It took a time to get the right coach, but they did it. It's not impossible.
Yeah, you don't build Rome overnight. It takes a long time.
And you don't build rivalries overnight. But at the same time, rivalries come and go. And that's what I want to get into now.
Okay.
The subject of this article, do you have the headline up?
Sure.
It says Dodgers All-Star says LA has one rival and it's not the Padres.
Oh.
In case the picture doesn't give it away, it's Max Muncy.
Oh, I see.
Max Muncy here, and you can see him. He's at Oracle Park in San Francisco where the Giants play. And in case you don't know your history, the Dodgers and Giants rivalry goes way back, way back, way, way back. In fact, it goes all the way back to the state of New York, where both teams are originally from. The New York Giants, of course, when they had Willie Mays before they moved to San Francisco, and the Brooklyn Dodgers. So the rivalry has existed for since way back when. The New York Giants, one of the oldest teams in the 1900s, and the Brooklyn Dodgers right behind them. This rivalry has existed all the way back to the, I think, 1920s, if I'm not mistaken.
So that's why they want this to continue, the establishment, because it originated back in the East.
Well, it is like the class. This is the same thing as like Bears-Packers. But unlike the Bears-Packers teams in the 1980s and maybe 70s that actually really legitimately hated each other, I don't know if I get the same vibes from the Bears and Packers anymore. Like, do they go out there like we hate each other?
It doesn't give that vibe.
It doesn't, but you do kind of get that vibe with the Padres and the Dodgers, the same way you got it with like the Bulls and the Pistons in the late 80s and 90s, and then the Bulls and the Knicks in the early 90s with John Starks and Xavier McDaniel and Jordan and Pippen. It was all there. But Max Muncy says that you can only have one rival, period. And let's hear him.
Padres bring everything that is in a rivalry, but you only have one rival. I don't like when people say you have rivals. I just think if you have a rival, it's your counterpart, and that's always going to be the Giants for the Dodgers, at least, and it's always going to be the Red Sox for the Yankees. People always made the argument that the Astros and Yankees had a good rivalry going, and it's like, that's true, but you only have one rival. And so for me, like I said, the Padres bring everything that a rivalry brings. For me, your rival is just one team. You don't have multiple teams as your rival.
That's a crack of shit.
I got to call him out a little bit on this and just say, what are you so afraid of, Max Muncy?
Padres beating the Dodgers?
Why can't you have more than one division rival? I mean, there's 5 teams in a division.
They all rivals.
You play those same teams the same amount of times. Now, I know the Rockies aren't your rival. They're not anybody's rival right now. They need to rival themselves first.
But you have other 4 teams that are potential contenders, and they are rivalry to you for the first place or second place, or however the thing shakes out.
I got to point out the Diamondbacks. The Diamondbacks play the Dodgers tough all the time. And they beat them in the playoffs in 2023. They went to the World Series in 2023.
And you don't think they are rivalry?
They don't seem to be.
Oh, okay.
I not according to Max Muncy. I don't buy this argument at all because of what I just said. Because Bulls and Pistons and Bulls and Knicks were born in my lifetime. I watched them come into existence, and I also watched them go out of existence. Bulls and Knicks doesn't carry the same weight it does in 1995.
If
The
that
Bulls Pistons doesn't carry the same weight it did in 1989. Give me a break.
Look how the Dodgers showed up and the Padres, those two teams showed up to the game on the first game for this season. And you're going to tell me they were not circling that game and waiting for it to happen?
100%. I want to remind everyone the Dodgers put up like one run in 2 games. They got shut out in one game over in St. Louis this past weekend. And the Padres have been playing like ass for like a month. And then all of a sudden they come out and they're all swinging.
Right.
Like they both were circling these dates on their calendar. The Padres probably longer than the Dodgers. You know, they were probably like, why do we have to wait so long to play each other? Let's get it on. They've been wanting to play each other again, I think, since the NLCS. You know, the Dodgers because, well, they're the Dodgers and they love to just do what they do, outslug the hell out of you. Like, our pitching sucks. We know it. We don't care.
I know. And then they have loopholes. So,
well, luckily, MLB Network exists. Wait, did I just say that? Yes, I did, because some of their regulars brought a little bit more nuance to the conversation. Brian Kenny's Baseball Now, the Thinking Man's show.
Oh, the Thinking Man. Okay.
And let's hear what this panel has to say about the rivalry.
Just saw Yankees Red Sox. Just saw Cubs Tigers, right? Division leaders head to head. Is this the top rivalry in the sport? Is this number one?
Yeah, because I think they have what's key. The Yankees and Red Sox have some historic hatred. These two teams feel like they hate each other in 2025.
Yeah, right.
Which is what really resonates. You know, like, do the Cardinals and Cubs hate each other? Does this version of Yankees and Red Sox hate each other? I don't think so. But these teams, there's something more on the field when they're playing.
There certainly was. Look,
Can you pause it for a second? All right. That was Joel Sherman talking, and I agree with him 100% about the hatred thing. Is that these two teams just don't like each other. So I hate to admit this to you, Max Muncy, because I know you're in denial about it, but I'll be watching this weekend to see if this Dodgers team hates this Giants team just as much as they hate this Padres team. And my initial gut feeling is no, they don't. There's not the same emotional weight there right now because, with all due respect, the Giants in recent memory have not been in the playoffs, and they haven't played the Dodgers where we have. You know, we had that victory over them in 2022. 2024, obviously, the Dodgers got us back. They got us also, I think, in 2020 in 2020. That was the year that they played the Rays in the shortened season. So they also won that World Series. And people said it didn't count because it was a shortened season.
It counts with an asterisk.
It counts. Just get over yourselves. They agreed to play the games. They count.
Yeah. But the rivalry thing, it's not between the Giants and the Dodgers. It's more between the Padres and the Dodgers.
Yes, it's because of the hatred and because of the players specifically on the field. It's because Machado and Dave Roberts don't talk to each other anymore since the playoffs last year and that stupid incident with the ball. It's because of this stuff. That's what makes a rivalry, guys. It's actual actions.
And the media doesn't help.
All they're playing on is nostalgia and tradition. And
for the Giants.
Well, for the Giants, yeah, exactly. And like I said, I'll be watching this weekend to see if I see the actual hatred.
That would be great to see.
All right, we can just move on. Ryan Rollins Smith here is going to finish out this segment.
Okay.
Teams, there's something more on the field when they're playing.
There certainly was. Look, I was watching that division series last year. I thought it was on the verge of a fist fight the whole way through.
Sure.
There was real edge there.
Yeah, and you know, last night we're talking, early June, and I was watching that game. It was a grind. I mean, you're talking the first couple innings. It had that feel too, especially Monday night at Petco, packed house. You know about some of the hostility there. It really, when you compare that to the Red Sox-Yankees rivalry, not taking anything away from that, I don't see them in 2025 the same as what you see here from these two teams.
Good point.
Can we have that guy analyze more baseball? He has a little accent. Sounds better.
He does. He does some Mariners games as well sometimes, I've noticed.
Does the Australian
in
dude.
the play-by-play booth. Yeah, and also World Baseball Classic.
Nice.
That is Ryan Rollins Smith, if you're wondering. And he's spot on here, by the way.
Yes.
Yankees Red Sox doesn't hold a candle to this. It's all based on what we just said. It's all based on nostalgia and tradition. And
wishful thinking.
The proof is in the pudding, and the pudding in this case is the actual games themselves. And when you watch it with your own two eyes, you see that this is a real rivalry between the brown and gold and the Dodgers. And I'll be watching to report back on how the Giants-Dodgers rivalry looks from my eyes. But he brought it up. Red Sox, Yankees doesn't hold the same weight. I mean, I'll even take it a step further. Cubs, Cardinals isn't even the same as it was when I was a kid. It just doesn't seem like it has that same weight. Bears, Packers. Is it even a rivalry? You know, Bulls, Pistons, Bulls, Knicks. It's come and gone in my lifetime. So rivalries are a strange thing, but I have to hard disagree with Max Muncy, and I have to full on find myself agreeing
with the
Thinking Man's show for a change. Usually we play the Thinking Man's show to show you what a crock it is, but in this case, they were spot on.